Hi, my name is Gaia.
I'm Angelica.
Today we're speaking to Bilal, founder of neobank Moneco. Hi, Bilal.
Hi Gaia, hi Angelica. Thanks a lot for the invitation.
Thank you.
So, question number one, what is a neobank and what does your company do?
Sure. So basically a neobank provides the same services as a bank, but you do not need to go to the agency. Everything can be done by distance, so virtually.
And why is this important to your consumer base and what was the need for it?
Sure. The big advantage with the neobank in comparison to traditional banking is you do not need to rely on a network of agencies. And basically, you have the ability to reach more people across the world. And so it's easier to reach like people living in emerging markets.
Right, so that's your focus area. The target region is emerging markets.
Exactly, with a focus on French-speaking Africa.
Okay, why French-speaking Africa?
Basically, it's because we are from these countries. It's the countries we know the most. And also today, banking in French-speaking Africa is like a little bit in delay, which is causing also some difficulties in terms of economic development.
Right.
So for us, the idea was like to provide a financial platform, being able for the people over Africa to open accounts on it, and then to be connected to the world.
I think what would be quite interesting would be if we looked at why French-speaking Africa is in that state in comparison to where I'm from, the UK, or Gaia from Italy.
Europe, yeah.
How do you think that's developed and why is it the way it is?
It's a very good question. The pattern which you see in emerging markets is the economy are mostly cash-based, which is even more accurate for Africa and even more in French-speaking Africa. There are various reasons for that. One of them is traditional banks, they have struggled, to conquer the markets. Most people, there is also some trust issues with the banks. The banks are expensive. They are not really available to anyone, so they only target the richest people in the countries. So let's say that it's like if the banking system was not really available for the mass market, and so people, they still do the trading on a cash based. Also in Africa, for most people, it's quite complicated, to do international transactions. So most people actually, they do not really feel the need to have access to banking.
Right. So it seems like the biggest struggle is also going to be educational. So because people don't trust, digital applications, or they feel like they have more power with cash. Yeah. How are you addressing that?
It's a very good question. Basically, what we have observed is they tend to not trust so much local banks.
Right.
If you come a little bit from abroad with external licenses, you have like a good track record, they will have tendency to trust you more. The other advantage we have also in comparison to local banks is the accounts we provide to people in Africa are labeled in a hard currency. So it will be Euro, USD, and so on. And so for these people, it's also an advantage because they know the money they will put on this account will not move. One of the biggest issue we have also in emerging markets is inflation. So for a lot of people, they know they will put the money in the bank, they will have some fees, and each month the value of the money is going to decrease. So putting your money in a stable currency for people is like, it brings a lot of trust and yeah.
Okay, I don't know anything about this, right? Yeah. So you're going to have to explain this to me.
Sure.
How does Moneco ensure its stability as opposed to a different bank?
Sure. The first thing which is an advantage is we're regulated in the Western world. So we are regulated by the highest standard. So everything we do in terms of compliance, the way we do our accounting, the type of activities we authorize and so on, we have a level of security which is to the Western world standard. So for people in Africa, this brings some trust. And also the other thing which is quite different between us and the others is today, for example, if you talk about the major neobank like Revolut, Wise, Monzo, and so on, they are simply not accessible from Africa.
Why is that? How were you able to make that happen? So what was the approval process to make that happen? And why hasn't it happened before?
Most of the neobank, they just would like to target Western countries, so they get the license with the central bank. They say, okay, I would like to do a neobank for the UK, like Monzo.
Is that because it's quicker and easier?
It's easier. The regulator, they know more the market. They know there is less risk associated, so you get the license maybe a little bit easily. Also, one thing, because it's still a business, people in the Western world have more money. So the more money people have, the more profit you will generate on each user. Right. Which means if you want to go in emerging markets, we'll have to reach a higher size in order to break even. So I think at the beginning it was normal to start with Western world, but now what we see is central banks start to have more knowledge on neobank, on emerging markets and so on. And so now they tend to give the licenses a little bit more easy if you would like to address emerging markets. However, beyond that, when you deposit your application to get your license, you will need to have a very robust application to say everything which will be done in terms of compliance, transaction monitoring, KYC, and so on.
I'm just wondering, when you think about the way that the app works, right? What are the biggest, from a consumer perspective, what are the biggest obstacles for the consumer and how is the app solving that?
Yeah, I would say at the moment, our application is mostly interesting for people in Africa who are already digital savvy. So we have a lot of people who are doing freelancing, e-commerce, people owning Airbnb. So let's say we have some people which already, they have a foot in the digital world. And so only with that, because French-speaking Africa is 400 million people, so only with this type of people, the market is huge. In Africa, also, the issue we had back then was the internet penetration, then it was the smartphone democratization. So now people have access to internet, most people have a smartphones, so people are connected on social network, they start to have this knowledge, and so I would say now in terms of market maturity, we really see something which is happening.
So who is your average consumer? What does this person do? Where do they live, and why is Moneco beneficial?
Sure. At the moment, I would say most of our customers are based in North Africa. And so it's only people who will do cross-border transactions. Basically,
Right.
Yeah, because everything they will do locally, most of the things they will do locally, it will be cash.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the issue you have with cash is it does not work when you want to go on vacation, when you want to pay, when you want to pay Netflix or this kind of stuff.
It's also not as safe because, someone can steal your cash.
It's true, but I don't know why some people, they still prefer to have, the cash under the mattress than in the bank.
Psychological, yeah.
Exactly.
Fair.
I guess tradition plays a part in it.
Yeah, it's cultural.
Then that's what you'll do.
Exactly, but still this is evolving. To come back to your question, so it would be two types of people. So either the people who receive money from abroad, so it will be people who receive remittances, who work for companies abroad, freelancers, people having Airbnb, people selling abroad. So we have a lot of people doing e-commerce, so they sell products in Europe from Africa. And so then the other ones are going to be the one who want to spend abroad. So it will be people who would like to go on vacation, people who would like to just pay some subscription, Netflix, Apple Music, Spotify, and so on. So all cross-border transactions.
How does your company make money?
So we have three types of revenue. The first one will be the account opening. At the moment, opening a Moneco account costs $5.
What is that? So, because $5 to us as Europeans, that doesn't seem a lot. But what is that? Is that proportionally speaking exactly for the?
So it will depend. It will depend on the country. Our offer is more targeted toward people who already would be able to generate a certain amount of transaction per month. On average, at the moment, Moneco users will process 1.2 thousand per month.
Okay.
So it's a little bit. So it's above the average African salary, let's say.
Yeah.
So for these people, it's no problem. Then we also have monthly costs. So it's a subscription, $3 per month. And then we also have fees on certain type of transactions. But it's true at the moment, our pricing, if you look at it, if you compare it with, Revolut or Wise, we are more expensive. Also because we have the cost to operate is a little bit higher for us. But still, I would say we generate interesting amount of money per active users. But we know that with the current pricing, we would not be able to do something super mass market. So this is also one of our objectives to have a cheaper pricing to address more people.
How many users do you have at the moment?
That was my next question.
We have launched it, I think it was end of May, and so at the moment we have about 10,000 users.
What's your story and how did you get to starting this business?
So me, I was born and raised in Switzerland. My father comes from Algeria. I have a business background. I studied at the University of St. Gallen in Switzerland. I was a private banker. I worked at Lombard Odier. I worked into the energy industry. Yeah, the competitor.
Our
Sure.
competitors.
Sure. Pictet had rejected me back then, so
Really?
unfortunately.
Well, look
Full
at
circle,
you now.
full circle
Sure.
moment.
Definitely, yeah. And so then I was a consultant at the Boston Consulting Group, and so I was at the Casablanca office in Morocco. And so from Casablanca, I worked a little bit everywhere in French-speaking Africa and mostly doing strategic plans for financial institutions.
This is how many years? How many years does this cover? All this experience?
Because this is a dense
Yeah, because that's
career.
that's like 10 years.
No, it was fast. It was like maybe in terms of professional, maybe 4 years, I would say.
Okay.
A professional experience. Then if you
Right.
add the studies, 7.
Yeah. So many
Little bit.
switches. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
So you got a lot of exposure, different structures, different roles.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say maybe one thing which helped me and drove me the most was by working in private banking in Geneva. You see to some extent, the excellence of the field, how customers are treated, what type of services they have access to, why they deposit the money here, how you take care of them, and so on. And then on the opposite, then I was in Africa doing strategic plan for the largest African banks, and then I could see, the discrepancy in terms of level of services. And what I would also see was in Africa, most of the people still do not have a bank account. And so I was like, I think there is something which can be done here.
God, you've had such an interesting career in such a short amount of time. How was that a sort of penny drop moment that made you think, right, it's time to leave the sort of corporate structure and start this?
Me, the thing is, even before joining BCG, I wanted to do something related to Africa and FinTech. And so then at BCG, luckily, I was mostly staffed on financial institution projects. And so very quickly, I started to have all of the data. I could see how banks were generating money, who are they targeting. And then the thing which was also interesting is we were telling them what they should do for the next 5 years. So I could definitely see where the blind spot was.
Yeah. When you say, I knew I wanted to do something in FinTech, do you mean I knew I wanted to work for someone, or I knew I wanted to start my own thing? At what point did you think, okay, I think for me it's entrepreneurship, rather than working for a corporate?
It's a good question. I knew I wanted to try my own thing. Then in the beginning, the idea is a little bit blurry. You just have a direction, but you do not really know what you want to do. Even when I left BCG, I didn't know it would be a neobank. Initially, I thought it would be a remittance company. Then you start to gather information, to have more knowledge, and then you fine-tune the idea.
So you have 2 co-founders.
Yes.
How did you meet them? What's the dynamic? How does that work? Because three is a lot of people.
Three is a lot.
It's an intense dynamic. So how does that work?
Sure. One of the co-founder, I met him at BCG. So we were very good friends, and so we had common understanding of the field, and so we wanted to do something similar. So we're like, okay, so let's do it together. And the third one, he's an ex-developer at Google. Then he was also a developer at Paystack, which is a fintech which got acquired by Stripe in Nigeria. So he also had some good knowledge. So we decided the 3 of us, together. And so 3, it's true. Sometimes it's difficult. It's a lot, but I think also it's a good number. The first good thing, which is very interesting, is all of the decisions are taken type of vote. Sometimes when you are 2, it's difficult to know who will have the last word if you don't agree on something. When you are 3, it's just the majority. And the other thing which is also interesting is when you are 3, between co-founders, you always have some disputes. And the thing which is cool is most of the disputes, usually they take place between one and the other. And so the third one will always try, to
mitigate.
Exactly. So in the end, you have less capital, let's say, but it's still, I think it works well, yeah.
Let's go to the beginning of the founding. So when did you found the business, and did you go through funding rounds? Was it self-funded? How have you expanded?
We knew what we wanted to do. It was early 2022.
So quite recent.
Yeah. So, but at that moment, we just knew what we wanted to do, but we had nothing. So in the beginning, I think we bootstrapped the company for maybe 3, 4, 5 months.
Okay.
Yeah, and then very luckily we got accepted at Y-Combinator. So I don't know if you know the program. So Y-Combinator is an accelerator in the Silicon Valley. It is, some people say it's the most selective one in the world. Wow. Some companies which come from Y-Combinator. So you have Airbnb, Dropbox, Coinbase, Pokemon Go. Monzo actually come from also Y-Combinator.
Oh, okay.
And so a lot of others. Very luckily, so 5-6 months after we decided to work on that, we get accepted at Y-Combinator. It was the first application. To me, this also sparked something. I was like, okay, so I know I'm working on something which
has legs.
Yeah, exactly, which can work. And so from that moment also then we had raised a pre-seed round. Then we needed maybe 1.5 years to launch the neobank. Initially, the offer was only for the African diaspora settling in France because we also saw them. They had struggled to open bank accounts and send money back home. But quickly we started to realize that, because the thing is, sorry, I take a little...
Yeah. Go ahead.
For a certain time, we were the only neobank in France enabling people to open an account only with a passport. And so what started to happen is every time we were opening an account for the diaspora in France, the days after, we have the family in Africa opening bank accounts as well and pretending to live in France. Us, we saw it, then we had to shut down a lot of accounts, but we started to be okay, these people in Africa, actually, they do nothing wrong. There is no compliance issue. Just at the moment, with the current license we have, we cannot serve them because they are not based in the right country. So then we were okay, so we need to change a little bit the compliance setup. Yeah. And so then we launched this offer in May, in which we enable people from Africa to have access to accounts, international accounts.
And was that was the approval process for that more complicated?
I would say so, yeah. The approval process was more complex. First, we did not get this license in Europe because Europe is like a little bit strict on this. So we got our license in Canada because Canada is a little bit more open to those type of use cases. And then also in terms of the stack we had to build, it was more complicated. Usually in Europe, when you want to launch a new bank, so you go find one bank partner which will provide you with most of the services, and it's like a white label offer. In our case, this does not exist, so we really had to take a lot of different bricks and then build our own offer. So in terms of integration, orchestration, and cost, it's not that easy to set up.
And how many people work for you now? How big is the team?
15.
15. And how's that split up? What departments is the biggest? How many departments do you have?
So the tech is the biggest. It's about half of the company. So we have developers, backend, front-end, full stack, mobile, and so on. Then we have the customer support team, which is the second largest. And then we have the compliance. So tech, customer support, and compliance.
So speaking of growth, what are your growth plans?
Yeah, but I was about to ask that.
Sure. So us, at the moment, the goal is to keep growing the way we do in French-speaking Africa and keep connecting the diaspora to people coming from the origin countries. The goal would be, I would say, maybe reach 50,000 active users in 2026. With much less users than that, we would be able to break even. And so then we also would like to launch new offers. The thing which we start to understand now is people like deposit money at Moneco because they can use it anywhere they want in the world, and also the money will not move due to inflation. But some customers now, they start to ask us about investment products. Also because, today when you are based in Africa, you cannot invest in Apple, in Tesla, whatever. It's not accessible for you. So the first step for us was like having their money, and the second one will be how they can use it, different places, and how can they invest it. To some extent, I like to say it's like a private bank or a Pictet, but for emerging markets and like retail.
To be able to allow them to invest, what's the process to ensure that?
One thing which is changing a lot today in the world and which makes things much faster is the stablecoins. You probably have seen it.
Stablecoins?
Yeah.
What is that?
Stablecoins, it's a type of a coin, like a Bitcoin or Ethereum, so it's based on blockchain. But the value of the stablecoin is fixed. It will not move. For example, the most famous one is USDT, which means every time you deposit $1 into the USDT ecosystem, one USDT is created. So you always have a parity between the number of USDT and the number of USD deposited. If you go through stablecoins, a lot of things becomes much easier, especially for emerging markets, because in the end, people, what they want, they would like to have value. And so they would like to have this value which can move anywhere and which does not move in terms of fluctuation. And so in the end, if it's USDT or USD, it's more or less the same. I try not to be too complicated. But so what we realize now is stablecoin, they help you a lot to move money worldwide. You do not need to go to pass through the SWIFT network, for example. So you can move money from Europe to US to Australia in a few seconds. And so today also you have some market exchange in which you can invest in stablecoins. And so this helps a lot for customers based in emerging markets.
It's interesting. I've never heard of stablecoin before, and
Me either.
So how, going back to your point on education, how are you going to educate more people to convert to your company?
Sure. So at the moment, we mostly focus on people which are digital savvy, but it's true, it will come to an end, and then we need to go mass market. The thing which we have realized helps a lot is the diaspora is usually a little bit more educated in terms of financial services.
So just for the listeners, can you explain what diaspora is?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So the diaspora is people coming from one country, people born in one country migrating to another one. And so in our case, it would be people born and raised in Africa, then migrating to Europe. So it will be...
Born and raised?
Born and raised in Africa.
Cool. So not first generation or second generation?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And so what we saw is when the diaspora migrate to Europe, in Africa, you can do your life without bank account. In Europe, it's impossible.
Yeah.
Right. So what will happen is the diaspora gets educated because they have to in Europe. So they have access to they need to have access to financial services. And so then they explain the benefit of it to the family in Africa. So by acquiring customers in the diaspora, we have like this waterfall acquisition effect.
Yeah.
Exactly, in Africa.
So do you think it's more word of mouth?
A lot, a lot. And so, for example, now we start doing some campaign in which we explain to people when you want to do a remittance to send money to your home country, You do not need to do it through Western Union or some other companies, but you can just say to your family in Africa, they can open a Moneco account. You can send the money on Moneco. For you, it's super simple. It's like if I send money to you, so it's almost a P2P transfer. It's free, it's instant, it's unlimited in terms of amount. You don't need to have another app to do that. And so then the big advantage for the person in Africa is when they receive the money, actually the money is still in Europe, but the person is based in Africa. So then they can pay their Netflix, they can pay anything on Amazon. And when they need the money locally, so either they go to an ATM and they withdraw some cash, or they can also process a self-remittance.
Right. So this education process, how does that factor into your marketing efforts? Because you have an Instagram account, which is pretty active. How does that work?
On my Instagram, it's true, I try to publish. It's always tough. I'm always late. I'm not active as I would like to.
Your personal Instagram or like the company's Instagram?
Now I talk about mine, but we also have a company Instagram.
Company,
But the thing which we have seen worked pretty well was to collaborate with influencers, because they have a big community, they have a lot of trust.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And so influencers, what they do usually, we ask them to open a Moneco account to have to test the experience.
And you pay them X amount.
Exactly. And if I pay them, I only pay them on Moneco.
Of course.
Fair enough.
So they have to open an account.
Yeah, they have to open a Moneco account. If they tell me pay me on this bank, I say so we don't collaborate.
It doesn't work.
Exactly. And so usually it's cool because most of them initially, they just open the Moneco account because they're like, okay, I would like to do this collaboration to get paid.
Yeah.
But then what you see is over time, they keep using the account. And so then we also have like this referral program. So a lot of them, they share their personal link. And so they also make some more money on it.
Yeah.
Right. That's what Revolut has as well, right? Do most FinTechs have this referral program?
FinTech, now even traditional banks, a lot, they start to do it. But I would say now referral program, it became something quite common.
So in terms of customer retention and customer acquisition, right now you're focusing on expanding.
Yeah.
How do you balance that? How do you balance expanding versus taking care of existing customers and just keeping that incentive there? Because it's a hard balance to strike.
It's very tough. When you do something which is digital, you assume that everything will scale. But in reality, it's not that easy. Compliance does not scale because, you can monitor a lot of things automatically. But when you have an issue, you always need a human to have a look at what is going on. So compliance does not scale. And the other thing which really does not scale is customer support.
Exactly.
And so, and so this is very tough because sometimes you have existing customers which generate some money, which are very active, and so you need to take care of them. But at the same time, you have maybe like 100 people who would like to open an account, but they need to ask you some questions. And so if you do not reply to them fast, there will not be the trust. So there is like a trade-off. But so at the moment, so we try to implement some AI also to reply to as many people as we can, but you always see it's not the same. But I would say it's one of our challenge at the moment.
Chatbots are really, it's hard because more often than not, they just frustrate you more.
Yeah.
Because they ask those preset questions, and more often than not,
and
the issue you have.
Anywhere.
No, and you just get a customer that once you get to the actual person that's taking care of you, you're so frustrated.
Exactly. Sure. Yeah, and sometimes it makes the time to access the real person even longer, so people are even more frustrated.
It delays. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And often people leave the site and just leave the problem where it is and just don't come back to it.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Definitely an issue. What's your next big move with Moneco?
Yeah. So at this stage, we are raising our seed round. So this will help us a lot on 2-3 different things. The first one we have realized is, in what we do, you have a lot of things which are not really stable. So the licensing part is not really stable. The infrastructure is also complicated. You can have one partner from one day to the other. He says, okay, I want to stop working with you for any reason. So what we would like to do first is to have an infrastructure and a compliance more robust. So if something goes down, we always have a backup. The other thing which we saw, which started to be quite interesting, so I talked about the investment products for our customers, but the other thing too is what we start to see is a lot of financial institutions in Africa, they would like to offer the same service as we do to the end customers. And so now we would like also to start doing some B2B2C, so to collaborate with some financial institutions, and then they provide our accounts, our cards, and our services to their end customers.
What advice would you give to get on this accelerator program?
I would say the first thing is to really almost master the industry. Y-Combinator, the thing which impressed me the most with them is they are the top level on every industry. They know exactly what is happening everywhere. They know what needs is located where. And so they talk to maybe 100 other companies trying to do the same thing as you. So you really need to bring something unique. So maybe it will be the solution, the way you will address the market, your community, your go-to-market or whatever. But I really would say, the go-to-market. The second thing is the team. Why is the team relevant for that?
Yeah.
And yeah, what we have observed with them is they will look if it's a real problem which matters to you. It's not only about business, it's because when you only would like to make money, you will stop at the first challenges, at the first errors, at the first issues. And so I think YC is also looking at people who would almost do it without any financial compensation, just for the sake of it.
You need to be passionate about it, basically. Yeah.
Exactly. So to me, maybe that would be the two main advisors. Yeah.
Amazing.
Great. Well, Bilal, thank you so much.
Thank
That was
you.
so interesting.